What's up guys, welcome back to the Utah Airguns channel and welcome back to our Airguns 101 series. Today we are going to be asking the question, are expensive airguns worth it? So in this video we're going to break it down. We're going to talk about low, mid, high tier air rifles, what makes them worth it, what you get with those rifles when you spend that extra money or when you don't spend that extra money, some of the sacrifices that you have to make. So starting with a more broad perspective, what makes some air guns so much more expensive than others? And you can ask the question, what makes any product more expensive than any other product? And it comes down to a few things. One is quality of materials. A lot of people, when they think of an expensive thing, like when you think of an expensive watch, do you think there's only, there's only like maybe $100 to $200 worth of material. Why does this watch cost, $3,000 to $10,000 looking at a Rolex? And that comes down to the quality of the materials, and a lot of that is coming down to the engineering and the time spent on the mechanisms. And air guns are no stranger to that quality of engineering. There's a lot of stuff that goes into the valving and the triggers and making air guns run more efficient. So the higher end air guns are going to cost a lot more because there's a lot more time spent on that engineering. And with the quality of the materials in those mechanisms, you get longevity. There's those sears and those valves and hammers that are hitting and grinding on each other. They're able to take that abuse and last much longer. The engineering is hard to see, but oftentimes you'll feel it in a really good trigger and a really smooth action. You'll hear it when you shoot. Oftentimes you can have a 22 cal air gun that's on the low end, and you can have a really high end 22 cal air gun, and they'll both be shooting the exact same velocity, but the higher end one sounds a lot better. It's a lot quieter. There's no twang or weird noises when you cock it or when you shoot it. And that's the quality of the engineering. They put a lot of thought into the whole process rather than just a rudimentary sear and a hammer and a valve, so it just lets that air out. You'll get the consistency and velocity because the engineering is so consistent. All right, so guys, if you're enjoying this content, this information, most of you are unsubscribed, so hurry and subscribe, hit that post notifications so you know next time we post some good info or a fun video. We kind of categorized the low, mid, and high tiers. Low, under $1,000, mid $1,000 to $2,000, and then high end $2,000 and up. So there's a pretty broad spectrum in all these, and we just did that to open it up a little bit more. So starting on the lower end, and before I start, I don't want to, these lower end guns aren't bad. We're not bagging on them in any way. You're getting a lot for your money, but you're sacrificing one of Justin's 5 points. So some of our favorites on the more affordable end is like the Umarex Notos. It's $200. It shoots really good, it's relatively accurate, it's pretty quiet, it's a great one to learn on. And these lower end guns are really good because it's a great way to just get your feet wet. If you just want to, get into a new hobby, but you just want to try it, be able to shoot at home, maybe do a little bit of pest control, some plinking in your backyard, get your kids into shooting, but you don't have $3,000 to $4,000 to get like that full crazy setup. This is a great way to just kind of see what air guns are like. But there's other lower end ones that'll cost a little bit more than the Notos, like the McCavity Arms, the JTSs, Air Venturis, the Avenge X. Those guns are really great. They all come with a little bit different features, and this is something that you'll notice as we go up in the tiers. You get more features as well as better build quality and more consistency. You'll see more air capacity, longer barrels, better spots to mount a sling and a bipod, longer scope rails. You just start to add capability as you pay for it. So jumping up to the mid-tier guns, it kind of starts around $800 to $1,000, and this is where you start to get some pretty high performance specs. You get more features, but you're not quite getting into the really, really high end stuff. And you'd be surprised some of the guns that we're considering as mid-tier. So one of the ones that it's weird considering this a mid-tier gun is the DRS Tactical. It's right at $1,000. You get some really good features, some insane accuracy, some really, really efficient shooting. But that's one that I was honestly surprised when we started considering that as a mid-tier because you're getting a lot for your money. The DRS Tactical is Justin's favorite pellet shooter. So just to put that in perspective, And other guns that are kind of mid-tier are the FX Maverick. You get a lot of tunability, modularity. You start to kind of feel what an impact would shoot like and be able to, you know, have those different attachments, some extra tuning. You could have slug power kit, a slug barrel, stuff like that. So now we're getting into the high end, the high tier on this spectrum, and that's obviously going to be like FX Impact, the FX King, the Scouts, the Epic, the raw HM1000s. You're getting up into that $2,000 range. And when you get up into that range, Justin has 5 points that he thinks every high-end gun should have. And the number one is accuracy. You're not going to spend, you know, $2,000 to $3,000 on a rifle that doesn't shoot well. These guns are all going to shoot just bug holes at basically whatever distance you want to shoot at. They're going to be super consistent. They're going to shoot a lot of different projectiles very well, and they're going to do it all the time, every time. You're getting what you pay for, and accuracy is probably why one of the, if not the top reason why you spent so much money on a high-end gun. The second point is power. These guns have big tanks, they have big hammers, they have big plenums. They can push heavier projectiles a lot faster. You're going to get a lot more energy downrange, and that is something that most of these air guns are going to be very capable of. Number three on Justin's 5 points is sound level. So even the powerful guns are going to be quiet. You can turn up a hammer on a lower end gun, but you're going to hear it. You're going to hear that hammer slapping the valve pretty hard. But these higher end guns, they're so efficient that they don't need to hit a valve as hard to create that much power. That valving, the plenum, the hammer, everything has been so finely engineered and finely tuned that you can make big power without all the noise. Number four on Justin's 5 points is efficiency. Now this is a big one. This goes back to the engineering. This is one that you're really gonna notice when you get into the high-end guns. Yeah, they're gonna have big tanks, or they might not. Like this is another one that you get with the DRS Tactical that is surprisingly falling in the mid-tier, is that engineering is getting a lot of efficiency in the valving and in the mechanisms so that you can make your air go a lot longer than you normally would on the older guns or the lower tier guns. So with an impact like my impact, I've got a big 700 bottle. You can get tons of shots out of that because it's so efficient, but you also get a big tank because, you know, you spent the money on the big tank. So you're getting efficiency and capacity, which ultimately leads to a lot more shots. And number five on Justin's 5 points is triggers. A good trigger makes a massive difference. You can have a very well fine-tuned rifle, one that has a fantastic barrel, super rigid, it's shooting accurately, but if that trigger isn't consistent and predictable, that accuracy is going to be out the window. You're going to have such a hard time breaking the shot clean that you're going to wonder if the rest of the rifle is even performing the right way. So having said all that, I'm a huge advocate of the buy once, cry once philosophy, but you have to realize that shooting is what I do for a living. I work at Utah Airguns. I spend most of my free time shooting, so it makes a lot of sense for me to spend and invest that money in the absolute best that I can get, because I really just want to focus on my skill as a shooter. I want to keep pushing that envelope, and I don't want the gun to be the factor that is holding me back. But, you know, all of these guns, low, mid, and high tier guns, they're going to put a big smile on your face regardless of what you want to do. So if it's not in the budget, don't buy it. Don't be irresponsible. Buy the lower end gun, shoot it, shoot the barrel out of it. I mean, you won't shoot the barrel out of it, but just shoot it a lot, because it will give you a good idea if you want to pursue this hobby. If you want to get more into it, then yeah, you can justify it, you can save more, you can get the higher end gun. But if you don't end up liking it that much, you're only out a few $100, and you know, your wife's not mad at you anymore. So just be responsible. All of these guns are very high quality. That's the cool thing about the age that we live in right now. The low-end guns would absolutely knock your socks off 20 years ago. So that's the really cool thing about these guns right now. But just remember, when you are buying the lower-end guns, you're sacrificing one of Justin's 5 points. For the most part, they're all really accurate. The higher end ones are definitely going to be more accurate. They're going to be louder. One of them might have a rough trigger, might not be as modular, might not be as powerful. You're just going to have to pick and choose the features that you want, and then, you know, you have to be more specific with the gun you want. When you get the higher end stuff, basically you just pick the one that looks cool, because they all shoot really good. Some of them do some things a little bit better, but it's marginal. Some of them are, you know, like the Impact is a bullpup, so it's going to be a little bit more maneuverable, easier to, you know, pull out of a truck and stuff like that. Just little things like that that aren't necessarily deal breakers, but are going to be better suited to the kind of shooting you want to do. Just remember, those sacrifices will need to be made if you're going to buy the lower end guns. So guys, that's our Airguns 101 on are expensive air guns worth it? And all in all, it's up to you. The worth is relative to you, how much you want to get into guns, how much you want to spend. So just do a little bit of, soul searching, a little bit of budgeting, and come to your own conclusions. But I hope this video helped you a little bit. Thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share the video, and we'll see you on the next episode of Airguns 101.